The organ music swelled. It filled every corner of the old, beautiful church. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, painting rainbows on the stone floor. I stood at the altar, my hands feeling clammy inside my white gloves. My dress was a cloud of silk and lace. It was everything I had ever dreamed of since I was a little girl. My mom was in the front pew, dabbing her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Everything looked perfect. It was a scene straight out of a movie. The problem was, I felt like I was playing a part I wasn't sure I wanted anymore. Was this really me? Standing here about to promise forever to someone? My fiancé Liam stood opposite me. He looked so handsome in his tuxedo. His hair was perfectly styled, and his smile was the one that had made me fall for him in the first place. But when I looked into his eyes, I didn't see the spark we used to have. I saw a reflection of my own uncertainty. He looked just as nervous as I felt. Not the normal, oh my gosh, I'm getting married kind of nervous. This was a deeper, more unsettling kind of fear. It was the kind of fear that asks, are we making a huge, life-altering mistake right now? It was a silent question passing between us, louder than the organ music. The officiant, a kind-looking man with a gentle voice, began to speak. He talked about love, commitment, and the sacred journey of marriage. His words were beautiful, poetic even, but they felt like they were meant for another couple. They floated over our heads, never quite landing in our hearts. I tried to focus. I tried to remember all the good times Liam and I had shared. The late-night talks, the silly inside jokes, the way he always knew how to make me laugh. But all I could think about was the growing distance between us over the last few months. The conversations we weren't having, the feelings we were both hiding. I took a deep breath, the scent of lilies and roses filling my lungs. This was it. The moment of truth. The officiant was about to ask us to say our vows. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. I looked at Liam again, and this time he gave me a tiny, almost imperceptible shake of his head. It was so small no one else would have noticed. But I did. It was a signal, a confirmation of the terrible, terrifying thought that had been screaming inside my head for weeks. We were both pretending, and our charade was about to come to a very public, very dramatic end. "Do you, Amelia, take this man?" The officiant's voice was warm, but his words hit me like a splash of ice water. This was my cue, my line in the play. I was supposed to say I do. I was supposed to smile and promise forever. But the words wouldn't come out. My throat felt tight, and my carefully constructed composure began to crumble. I opened my mouth, but only a small, choked sound emerged. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me. My mom, my dad, Liam's parents, all our friends. They were all waiting for the happy ending they had all come to see. Liam must have seen the panic in my eyes. He reached out and gently took my hand. His touch was not that of a groom, but of a friend who knew I was drowning. He leaned in close, so only I could hear him. "Mia," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the organ's soft hum. "It's okay. We don't have to do this." Relief washed over me so intensely that my knees almost buckled. He felt it too. He actually felt the same way. All this time I thought I was the only one with these terrible doubts, but he was right there with me, trapped in the same beautiful, suffocating fantasy. "I can't," I whispered back, a single tear escaping and tracing a path through my makeup. "I love you, Liam, I really do. But not like this. Not as a husband." His thumb gently wiped the tear from my cheek. "I know," he said, his own voice thick with emotion. "I love you too, Mia. You're my best friend. But for the past year, we've been trying to force a puzzle piece that just doesn't fit. We've been trying to be something we're not, because we thought it was what everyone expected of us. Because we were scared to admit the truth. The truth. It hung in the air between us, finally spoken. We weren't meant to be husband and wife. We were two best friends who had mistaken deep affection and comfort for romantic, eternal love. The pressure to get married, to follow the traditional path, had pushed us down this aisle. We had been so afraid of disappointing everyone, of admitting our relationship had changed, that we almost made the biggest mistake of our lives. We almost promised a forever that would have made us both miserable. It was a terrifying realization, but also, in a strange way, incredibly freeing. Liam squeezed my hand one last time, a gesture of solidarity. Then, he turned to face our guests. The silence in the church was now absolute. The organ had stopped playing. You could hear a pin drop. Liam cleared his throat, his voice surprisingly steady as it echoed through the cavernous space. "I'm sorry, everyone," he began. "There's been a change of plans." A collective gasp rippled through the pews. I saw my mother's hand fly to her mouth, her eyes wide with disbelief. Liam's father, a stoic man, simply looked confused, his brow furrowed in deep lines of concern. The air was thick with tension and confusion. Amelia and I love each other very much, Liam continued, his words careful and sincere. But we've realized that our love is that of best friends, not of a husband and wife. We were so afraid to let you all down that we almost let ourselves down. We can't make vows that we know in our hearts we can't honestly keep. He looked at me and I gave him a small, watery smile. He was doing this for both of us. He was being brave for both of us. I felt a surge of gratitude and affection for him that was purer than anything I had felt in months. He was saving us. The reactions were a chaotic mix. My younger sister Chloe, who was my maid of honor, just looked sad. She had been our biggest cheerleader. Liam's best man, Mark, looked utterly baffled, as if he couldn't process what was happening. A few guests started whispering amongst themselves, their voices a low, shocked buzz. I could only imagine what they were saying. What a disaster! What a scandal! But then, I caught my grandmother's eye. She was sitting in the second row, and instead of looking shocked or angry, she was just watching us. And she gave me a slow, deliberate nod, a nod of understanding. The officiant, to his credit, handled the situation with incredible grace. He stepped forward and placed a hand on both of our shoulders. "Marriage is a celebration of truth and honesty," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "And while this is unconventional, the honesty you have both shown today is its own kind of sacred vow, a vow to yourselves." His words were a balm on a very public wound. He gave us permission to be okay. He helped turn a moment of potential humiliation into a moment of profound, painful, and necessary truth. So there was no wedding. Instead, there was a very strange, very quiet reception. We told everyone that the party was still on. The food was paid for, after all. Some people left immediately, too uncomfortable to stay, but many stayed. Our closest friends and family. They ate the fancy chicken and the tiny appetizers. They drank the champagne that was meant for toasting our future. It was awkward at first, but then something amazing happened. People started talking to us, not with pity, but with respect. My aunt came up and told me I was the bravest person she knew. Liam's uncle clapped him on the back and said it took guts to do what he did. Liam and I sat at a small table together, away from the grand head table that was meant for us. We were still in our wedding attire, which felt a little ridiculous. We shared a piece of the magnificent 5-tiered wedding cake. It was lemon raspberry, my favorite. "Best friends?" I asked, holding out a forkful of cake for him. "Best friends," he confirmed, taking the bite with a smile. It wasn't the day we had planned, not even close. It was messy and dramatic, and probably the talk of the town for the next 10 years. But it was real. For the first time in a long time, we were being completely, 100% real with ourselves and everyone else. The end of our engagement wasn't a tragedy, it was a revelation. We learned that the bravest thing you can do is be honest, especially when it's hard. We learned that there are different kinds of love, and not all of them are meant for marriage. The love between friends is just as valuable, just as important. It deserves to be protected, not forced into a shape it's not meant to hold. We saved our friendship by canceling our wedding. We chose a different kind of happily ever after, one that didn't come with a marriage certificate, but with a foundation of honesty and genuine care for each other's happiness. As the sun set, casting a warm golden glow over the reception hall, I looked at Liam laughing with his friends. I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in over a year. There was no more pretending, no more pressure, just truth. Our wedding day became our Independence Day. It was the day we stopped trying to live a life for other people and started living one for ourselves. And that felt more hopeful, more promising, and more like a true celebration of love than any I do ever could have. It was a beautiful beginning, just not the one we thought it would be.